Welcome back to another episode. This is Layla, and today we're talking about pretty privilege is power and how we can use this concept that the patriarchy created to our own advantage. So I know there's this whole feminist movement about doing the exact opposite of patriarchy, and I get it. Trust me, I really do. I'm a rebel at heart, so anything that goes against the grain is just something that I just naturally do and want to do. But with maturity and experience, I noticed that when you actually learn the rules of the game, you can play better. And you can actually turn the game against your opponents. And so we live in a society where the sad truth is that the prettier you are, the more sexy, hot, and skinny you are, the more you have access to resources, legal resources, medical resources, just resources in general, money. You have men who will give you money just because you look hot. And for some of them, they might think that if the more money they're going to give you, the more chance they have to, be physically intimate with you at some point. That's like why they're chasing you, which is what usually what most men are about. And and so it is a form of power. Now, there are many different ways to do that. I'm all about sustainable, healthy results. So I'm never going to tell someone to go on an extreme diet or to starve themselves to be skinny. Like, it makes no sense. Actually, there are ways to do it, because I just have to mention really quickly, I've been skinny, like a size 0, like 95% of my life. And then I have this like 5% where I was a little bit overweight, not obese, but I was a little bit overweight because of my pregnancy. So I've experienced both sides, right? So I've experienced, how society treats me when I'm skinny and when I'm not. And how society treats me when they know I'm a mother or they don't know I'm a mother as well. Those are connected as well. And what I realized, by the way, because like I said, I was a little bit overweight, and then I went back to my size, like I said. And so what I did is actually, I did somatic exercises. So I actually removed the trauma from my body, because that was actually the reason why I gained so much weight. Because I was, doing some emotional eating. And so I let go of the trauma from my body with somatic exercises. And I immediately lost my cortisol belly, my puffy face, like everything went away. And I also focused on balancing my hormones with a bunch of different plants. And I was able to get back to my size. And I've been, I did very little exercise, I would say, just to be active, but like I didn't do anything crazy, no extreme diets, no extreme trainings. They're actually really bad for us as women because they're very temporary. And then as soon as you slack a little bit and you start eating more or just normally, then you get the weight back, and it's just this battle against your body. I've never experienced it personally, but I grew up with women who still battle that. Like, they still battle their own freaking body. Like, it's a really painful life, right? Because your food is like your enemy, your body is your enemy, like everybody is your enemy. Skinny bitches are your enemy, like everybody's your enemy. And I grew up with women like that, and I was like, oh my God. And I was also their enemy because they would see me eat like a bunch of stuff, and they would be like, why don't you gain any weight? Because I've always had like a fast metabolism, especially when I was younger. Like, I could eat like a full cake by myself and literally have like no impact. Like, now it's obviously a bit different, but still, but anyway, that was a little story time that I wanted to share. But yeah, I just want to put the emphasis on, focusing on your physical appearance and to do it in a way that's sustainable. Now, the reason why I'm sharing that is that because I experienced both, right? Like I said, I was skinny most of my life, and then I was a bit overweight at some point, very temporarily. And the difference was absolutely, I don't have words. It was so intense to experience this contrast, because for most of my life, I've had boys, even when I was a young girl, I would have boys like serve me all the time, and that was normal to me, to have boys, carrying my lunchbox or my school bag. Like I would have like a different boy each day of the week as a young girl, in elementary school, and I would have a different boy carrying my stuff. And they would just offer it. So I would be like, yes, of course. And for them, it was like an honor, like a privilege to like carry my stuff. Like, see how boys are so aligned with nature when they're young, very masculine. And so I've always had, men give me stuff, like just with no physical intimacy, because that was something I remember, like my family thought, I was doing stuff, and I was like, no, they're just giving it to, and they were like, why? But now I know why. I didn't know back then, but I know now, because I've always been skinny and pretty. So and I'm not the one who created society. So if you want to be mad, don't be mad at me. I did not create those rules, but that was the point. And so I got so many things provided for, like so many, like everything basically in my life has been provided for. Like I haven't worked that hard, like anytime I've needed something, it's almost like, I guess because I'm a water sign, I'm a Cancer, I have this like energy of damsel in distress, like regardless of like what I go through in life. I don't know, I guess, or I'm just like very feminine, I guess. I don't know. It's hard for me. But one thing I know for sure is I spent most of my life being skinny. And what I noticed when I was not anymore, the whole treatment, like the whole pretty privilege went away. So I wouldn't, like, I was so used to having men like hold doors for me, or like cross the street to like run to I've been used to like having men go out of their way to serve me, right? But when I was overweight, I had to open all my freaking doors. No one was helping me. No one was like mean per se, but no one was like looking at me. I thought it was so strange, because I was so used to like to go, for example, in a public space and have like everybody or like most people like turn around, especially like in a restaurant or like a place like that, like a concert. Like I always have like people like watching me, like, but that was like, that has been normal to me, right? But when I was overweight, like nobody was watching me. It was like I was invisible. If people knew that I was also a mother, so like I was overweight and a mother, I would have men literally like insult me, like devalue me, or like making these like really snarky remarks. And then I would realize like, you're also insulting your mother, by the way, just letting you know, which is so crazy with the patriarchy, right? Because they're devaluing the mothers. And so they're devaluing their own freaking mother. Like, how fucked up is that? You know what I'm saying? They're saying stuff like, oh, a woman who has a child is like not, doesn't have value anymore. Like, okay, so your mother has no value? What the fuck? But anyway, I've experienced both sides. And so when I got my size back, right? And like I said, I did it the right way, in a sustainable, healthy way, no extreme diets. When I got my size back and I stopped saying that I was a mother, if I would go on a date or if I would meet new men or potential sugar daddies or providers, I would never mention that I was a mother. And because I was skinny again, and because I wasn't saying that I was a mother, I would get spoiled again. And I've experienced it. So people can't say like, no, it's not true. It's the sad reality. That's what it is. So if you're in a place where I don't know, you just don't like how people treat you, or you haven't been attracting the men. I'm not saying you need to be a size 0, by the way, like that's a bit extreme, like, but when, that's the thing, when you start to work with your stress hormones and your hormones in general, and you do somatic exercises and you remove trauma from your body, you're going to notice that you naturally go back to a healthier body, a smaller body, and you start to lose the stubborn fat. That's something that we call the cortisol belly, for example. That, so even if you do like a bunch of trainings, like it's always going to be there, and it's so frustrating. So when I got back to, like I said, my skinny size, this is when I realized that I was getting that treatment again. So people would go out of their way to give me money, give me privileges, and also I was able to access medical and legal resources. Because here's the thing, when you have a network of providers, of sugar daddies, you're going to notice that these men are really financially powerful, and these people have access, like they, in their phone, they have doctors on call, like they can call their doctors, lawyers, accountants, like they have these people on their freaking cell phone. They can call them in the middle of the night. All right. I had an issue at some point legally, and one of my sugar daddies sent like 4 lawyers on my case. And I was like, whoa, that's like a boss move. I didn't even know you could send 4 lawyers on a case. I was like, oh, what? Yeah, when you're pretty, you have access to this network, right? And not only that, but you have access to a bunch of networks. So that's even more powerful than one man. That's why I always preach about having like 5 to 7 providers, because that's like 5 networks. Like that's huge. That's like real power, like pure power. And plus, these men usually have been working for the past like 20, 30 years to build that network. And because you're pretty, I just need a sip of water. Because you're pretty, you're able to access this network like instantly. It doesn't have to take 20, 30 years. Like that's like even more powerful. Think about it, you know? So yeah, there is a pretty privilege in our society. It is sad when you think about it, because it shouldn't be this way, but that's the reality of society. And there are many different ways to go about this. You can either fight it, or you can use it to your own advantage. That's how I like to use it, because obviously if you're so focused on your appearance and you start to go crazy with all the diets and you start to actually hurt your body in the process, you're not using the pretty privilege to your own advantage. When you're doing it, like I said, in a way where you're literally cleansing your soul and you're cleansing your body from the trauma, so you naturally lose weight. And this happens really fast, by the way. And you also use subliminals and you regulate your nervous system. Then it's beneficial to you, because you're also improving yourself. You're also doing it from a place of self-love instead of fear or shallowness. You know what I'm saying? But obviously being pretty is very unique to everybody, because yeah, everybody is different. Every woman is like a different flower. Like you can't compare flowers. But there are things, for example, like when a woman puts a lot of like oils and lotion, she smells good and she looks very feminine, like the light feminine, like visually, it just naturally attracts a lot of people. And so by just having those habits implemented, this is how you can actually use the patriarchy to your own benefit, to your own advantage. And it gives you a lot of options, a lot of abundance, a lot of freedom. Because if you rebel against it, which like I said, I get it, but if you rebel against it, then you're stuck on your own to build that 20 plus year like network. And you're gonna have to work your body to the ground. So what's more like smarter, you know what I'm saying? Let me know if you want me to go into more details about anything that I mentioned today. And yeah, I'll see you in the next episode.